Alrighty, folks, we're going to talk about Grant Cardone one more time. We've already talked about him. I think it was last week about single family homes, but apparently he has thoughts on duplexes, triplexes, and quads. And I think I can guess what he's about to say, but let's find out.
Yeah, Grant Cardone is a really big proponent of size does matter.
That's what she said.
What not to buy. 2s, 4s, 6s, and 8s will go back to banks. You cannot compete in this marketplace. 12 units cannot compete with my 300 unit deal in Orlando with a $1.5 million swimming pool, 1,200 square foot facility for health and wellness. Dude, I'm buying properties right now that fitness centers, like you're not going to go to 24-hour fitness anymore. So how do I exit? I know the people that are going to buy my deals are going to be people that always have money.
So Mike, he's saying that they can't compete. Can a 2, 4, 6, or 8 unit building compete with a larger apartment building, or what do you think?
Yeah, so because again, you can look at what he's saying, because again, the beauty of being in the game this long is you could see what he's really saying. He's basically saying he's buying Class A plus, and then out the other side of his mouth is saying, Class C or Class B can't compete with me. And he's absolutely right. They don't have to compete with you. The tenant base is, there's levels to this game. Not everybody can afford to live in a, 10X apartment building with the gym and all of that. There are plenty of people, and I would argue there is more people that can't live there than can. The beauty about economics is you learn that demand is a two-step function. First, you have to want to do something. So Grant is probably right. There's a large pool of folks that want to live in that gorgeous building with gym and pool. Unfortunately, demand is a two-step function, and that is only step one. Step two is you have to be able. There's a lot of folks that want that aren't able, especially with inflation, especially with all the stuff we got going on now. I would argue that there's predominantly more folks that can't rent than can. So again, he's doing his thing. Bigger is better. Only buy Class A. 3 or 4 cap doesn't matter because you hold it forever. It's not his money, right? He's got syndications going and all that. So I understand what he's saying, and I disagree.
So he also said 2s, 4s, 6s, and 8s will go back to the bank. You're going to lose the properties, bank's taking them back. What do you think about that point?
So let's break it down. So 2s and 4s, unless you're a complete idiot, should be financed with 30-year fixed rate debt, and you've bought them in the last 3 or 4 years, you've got mortgage rates that will frankly be an asset. So if we take 2s and 4s out, there's very little chance those go back to the bank. Very little. If you want to talk about 6 and 8s, if they're heavy value add, if they're in war zones, some of those can go back to the bank. And I would argue there's plenty of Class A buildings that are going back to the bank. Grant, have you not heard about all the hotels in retail centers and office buildings and, yes, multifamily being given back to the bank? There was just a REIT that gave back 12 properties to the bank. So to act like you're going to be unscathed by this is insulting. Mm-hmm. I would rather have a 6 or 8 and own it myself than a 100, 400, 500, 800 unit with bad financing, because that can go back to the bank too. So he's being a little intellectually dishonest there, I think.
Yeah. I've got a 2-unit building with a 3.4% interest rate that I house hacked. I've got another 2-unit building with a 4.9% interest rate. Terrible. I know. Absolutely atrocious. Of course, everybody else is getting 8s right now. And then I have a triplex, which I have private money on. And fantastic rate on that too, although I can't think of it off the top of my head. The point is, I think you're right, Mike. Unless you finance these things irresponsibly, if you bought over the last several years, it's very hard to do poorly with owner-occupied financing if you know how to run your numbers right, you understand your buy box, and then you buy a great property, a great deal. I think this is just a little bit more of Grant saying, hey, don't get hopeful about things over here, because if you do, you might spend your money over there. And I'd really like it if instead you invested with me on these properties.
Yeah. And again, he's going back again. I think he's just restarted this. I may be wrong on this, but I think he just restarted his non-accredited fund, or he's going to restart it. This is why he's going after single families and duplexes. He doesn't want you to take 20 grand and put in a duplex. He wants you to give him the 20 grand.
All right, Mike. Well, that was all I had for Grant hating on small multifamily. We do have a few other videos we're reacting to, so we'll see you there.